Tyrannosaurus's extra long legs make for speed. But one of her offspring lags behind. Now, the only hope is to find cover. All the continents were joined together in one giant supercontinent called Pangaea. Now it was breaking up. North America was tearing away from Africa along a rift parallel to the present-day East Coast. As the rift widened, it gave birth to the Atlantic Ocean and created a string of freshwater lakes scientists call the Newark Supergroup. Back then, an evening on planet Earth looked like a scene out of science fiction. On the surface, an eerie gloom pervades the atmosphere. About 20 million years earlier, evidence indicates an asteroid crashed to Earth. The collision triggered the Permian extinction, which wiped out over 90% of all living things. Out of the disaster, a new world was born. It's the Triassic period. After millions of years of evolution, conditions are ripe for something new, something different. The dinosaurs. A freshwater lake is the local watering hole, but the customers don't always mix. For Coelophysis, danger lurks just below the surface. Is quick, but Coelophysis is quicker. The Triassic period is the heyday of the reptiles. To exploit the vacuum left by the Permian extinction, reptiles evolved into a variety of different species. Now, they come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are docile plant eaters, Others, like Coelophysis, are predators. Coelophysis may look like your average reptile, but it's not. It's unusually fast on its feet, curious, and alert. Dinosaurs is the first reptile to learn how to glide. A hungry dinosaur will try anything once. Traversodont is a mammal-like reptile. To improve its chances for survival, it feeds at night and sleeps all day in a burrow. Mastosuchus is a docile plant eater. It uses its snout to nip ferns and root out tubers. The armor is for protection. Even its belly is plated. The spikes on its shoulders are 1.5 feet long, for good reason. At 20 feet, Rudiodon is one of the largest predators around. Its legs are short and project outward from its body, which inhibits speed. The Mastosuchus is fair game for a worthy predator, but it's too much for Coelophysis. Insects have been around for over 100 million years, and some are huge. This locust can usually fly its way out of trouble. Coelophysis is built for speed. Its limbs are powered by a large muscle that extends from its thigh bone to its tail. Its ankle bones are designed to keep its feet straight while walking or running. A right angle hip joint and an open socket positions its legs under its body. so it stands upright and moves fully erect. Its neck is long and shaped like an S, lifting its head above its body for greater visibility. Its fourth and fifth fingers are short, turning forelimbs once used for locomotion into hands that can manipulate food. With its long legs and erect gait, it can run longer and faster than any other reptile alive. Soon, the old order will slip away, and the dinosaurs will inherit the Earth. 45 million years after the Permian extinction, the Earth is once again under siege. Evidence suggests a comet entered the Earth's gravitational pull and disintegrated, hurling a stream of fragments toward the surface along latitude 23 degrees. 2 fell on Canada, 1 in France, forming a chain some 3,000 miles long. 2 more strayed into Minnesota and the Ukraine. With each impact, clouds of vaporized rock billowed into the atmosphere, blotting out the sun. Here, the Triassic period ends and the Jurassic begins. Now the land belongs to the dinosaurs. And in time, they'll be bigger and better.
This is one of the most dramatic kinds of transitions we can see in all of Earth history. And in this particular outcrop is that we actually have the boundary between the Triassic down here and the Jurassic up here. This layer, these layers, especially this white layer and this little black layer, which is a coal, extend for miles around in this area. Within this white layer, we've found elevated amounts of the element iridium, which is relatively rare in the Earth's crust, but relatively more abundant in asteroids and comets. My colleagues and I have concluded that this white layer is evidence of an impact of a giant asteroid on Earth. Now, there are very few places in the world you can see anything like that, and it makes this spot absolutely unique.
A group of flesh eaters is on the prowl. This is Syntarsus. At 10 feet from head to tail, they're about the same size as their forerunners in the Triassic. But these guys aren't chasing bugs. They're stalking dinosaurs. Dinosaurs is a plant eater. Although it walks on all fours, it spends most of its time on its hind legs browsing in the trees. A claw on its thumb is its only protection. Tarsus and Ankylosaurus may look similar now, but in the future, they'll go their separate ways. Ankylosaurus will evolve into sauropods, the largest plant eaters of all time. Its leaf-shaped teeth are well suited for plucking vegetation. Its neck is long for reaching into trees, and the claw on its foot is ideal for digging or pulling down branches. Taurus and T-Rex. Its jaw is designed to absorb the stress of struggling prey. Its wishbone, only found in birds, helps make its arms more flexible. And its three-toed feet allow for faster running than the plant eaters. Ankylosaurus is clearly outclassed. Only one thing intimidates a predator, a bigger one. Dilophosaurus towers over its competitors and its prey. This is no ordinary predator. It's a triple threat. It can slash, bite, and run. A meal comes none too soon when there's a hungry mouth to feed. But there's no time to relax when a stranger is sneaking around. The carcass of Ankylosaurus is too large for one sitting. The dinosaurs will eat their fill. Then they'll be back.
This is one of the most amazing slab of footprints I've ever seen. The tracks are raised because it's the mud that filled in the tracks, rather than pushed down as it would be if they were the actual tracks. But more abundant on this slab are various different sizes of dinosaur footprints, particularly theropod dinosaur footprints. There are small individuals like this one here. You can see 3 toes right there. It was a carnivore, you can see from the very sharp and large claws. This is about as large as late Triassic dinosaur footprints get, not all that much bigger than the palm of my hand. When we get over the Triassic-Jurassic boundary, however, we see an immediate and abrupt increase in the maximum size of theropod dinosaur tracks. We get up to the size of truly large carnivorous animals. There aren't many other kinds of footprints around. Gone are tracks of things like Desmatosuchus, and in their place is an almost completely uniform assemblage of various sizes of theropod dinosaur footprints, basically large and small versions of this.
The rules of the forest are simple. Kill or be killed, or steal. Tarsus may be a hunter, but it's also an opportunist. Ironically, Dilophosaurus and Centaurus are family. They're both ceratosaurs. But you'd never know it. Dilophosaurus is still a primitive dinosaur. In the future, carnivores will have 3 fingers instead of 4. Their heads will grow larger, their bodies more massive, and the crest will disappear. Dilophosaurus may be top dog for now, but when predators get bigger, so does the prey. The descendants of Ankylosaurus have nowhere to go but up. Salt Lake City, Utah, lies nestled in a valley at the foot of the Wasatch Range. But 150 million years ago, these snow-capped mountains didn't exist. Instead, the climate was warm and seasonal, and the land was a vast savanna that stretched from Canada south to New Mexico, and from Idaho east to Nebraska. It's the dry season. As far as the eye can see, the once verdant plain has shriveled to a few scattered trees and drought-resistant plants. An empty streambed is a highway to nowhere. No rain has fallen for months, and the heat is relentless. In times of drought, dinosaurs, like Dinosaurs, flock to their favorite river. Here, water usually flows year-round. But now, it's gone dry, and the ponds have turned to salt. This Stegosaurus is looking for a seep. Like African elephants, digging for water sometimes pays off. But scratching out a living in the dry season is hard on the dinosaurs, big and little. When times are tough and life is under stress, anything can happen. Finding water is critical for Dinosaurus. Her offspring are less than a year old. They've never experienced a drought. Today is a lesson in survival. They don't know they're being watched. Ceratosaurus is the last of its kind, but more dangerous than ever. Dinosaurs is too small to defend her brood against a hungry predator. All they can do is run for their lives. Dinosaurus's extra long legs make for speed. But one of her offspring lags behind. Now, the only hope is to find cover. In the Jurassic world, there's something even bigger than Ceratosaurus.
The Jurassic river bottom preserved here at Dinosaur National Monument contains an extraordinary diversity of dinosaurs. There are 4 kinds of sauropod dinosaurs, 3 kinds of meat-eating dinosaur, there are 2 kinds of bipedal plant-eating dinosaurs, and of course there's Stegosaurus, the great plated dinosaur. Now these animals, when we look at their carcasses, we can see they're of the same condition of preservation. This suggests they all died pretty close to the same time. Well, what brought all these animals here? Most bone beds are of just one species. We believe that this was a location where there was a perennial river flowing through the savanna of the upper Jurassic of Western North America, and it dried up. Animals would come to this place during the dry season where seeps would bring water to the surface where everywhere else was dry. But on one particularly bad year, the river dried up completely. The animals, not wanting to leave their only known source of water, stayed until they finally died. We're looking at the deaths of the predators, the prey, young and old animals alike. Truly an extraordinary dinosaur deposit.
Like a caravan in the desert, a group of Camarasaurus lumbers towards an oasis, a grove of conifer trees. Long ago, the plant eaters found a way to coexist with nature and each other. When it comes to food, they live in a vertical world. Dinosaurus is tagging along. Without rain, the pickings are slim. But where the big sauropods go, Dinosaurus knows a feast is in the making. Camarasaurus thrives on the boughs of evergreens, high in the trees. Their strong teeth and powerful jaws literally rip the branches off. To reach them, Camarasaurus can do something most other sauropods can't. vertebrae in its neck are strong, yet hollow, which makes them lightweight. A network of cable-like ligaments helps Camarasaurus hold its head in an almost vertical position. Sauropods don't chew their food, they gulp it. To digest it, they swallow stones called gastroliths, which grind the food in their stomach. Because Camarasaurus consumes large quantities of vegetation faster than it can process it, its belly is huge. The Dryosaurus makes short work of the scraps. They chew their food to speed digestion. A sauropod is a virtual bulldozer. They can wipe out a forest in no time by uprooting trees and plants. In the days to come, herds of sauropods will scour the landscape. But for now, it's one tree at a time. Two other local residents, a male and a female stegosaurus, are also scrounging for food. For an animal the length of a bus and the weight of a rhino, its snout is small and toothless. Still, it's the largest dinosaur of its kind in the world. The plates on its back and its tail, bristling with 4-inch spikes, are designed to repel the most aggressive attackers. Flushed with victory, the male stegosaurus begins to strut. His back plates are like feathers to a peacock. They're priceless when it comes to mating. The female's not ready. For the male, there's always tomorrow. The dry season is now in its 4th month, but a change is in the wind. Storm clouds bring the promise of needed rain. Monsoon will last for days. By storm's end, the landscape is transformed. Torrents of water cascade from the hills, and rivers begin to flow. seasonal lakes and ponds magically reappear. Their muddy banks are a maze of footprints left by thirsty dinosaurs, large and small, both predator and prey running helter-skelter together. But the coming of the wet season ushers in more than just rain. Apatosaurus has arrived. This is Dino of the Flintstones, in the flesh, all 30 tons. With legs the width of tree trunks and feet almost as big as bicycle tires, Apatosaurus is the elephant of the Jurassic, only 12 times heavier. Sauropods, like Apatosaurus and Camarasaurus, are the largest land animals the world has ever seen.
This is the most complete sauropod dinosaur ever found. It's a Camarasaurus, about 2 years old and already about 19 feet long. The sauropod dinosaurs are the kind of thing we always think about when we hear the word dinosaur. I grew up with Brontosaurus, now correctly called Apatosaurus. If we look around the world in the Upper Jurassic, sauropods are the dominant dinosaur. In fact, in North America, in any particular dinosaur quarry we find, we usually see as many as 4 different types. Some feeding high in the trees, some feeding low, grazing on the surface. They're an immense part of the fauna, very important to the ecosystem. You would think we'd know a lot about these dinosaurs. However, young and their eggs are virtually unknown. In fact, in all of Western North America, extending from Canada down to central New Mexico, we have not found a single sauropod eggshell fragment in the Morrison Basin. If we look at eggs from South America or from Europe, we see the sauropods laid eggs as big as soccer balls with eggshell about a 1/4 inch thick. Well, in Western North America and the Morrison, we do get dinosaur eggs, some of which are only 2 millimeters thick. So you would certainly think we'd be finding sauropod egg if it was here at all. This tells us that these animals were migrating into and out of the basin. Perhaps they were nesting in the lowlands of the mountains to the west, or perhaps to the north in Canada along the coast of the sea. Certainly, they weren't nesting and reproducing within the Rocky Mountain region.